Hello Wolfpack, there have been a few progressions on the Bitcoin chart, specifically on the last daily candle close. For those of you who don't know, my prediction on Bitcoin is we're heading downwards towards the 200-week SMA. I've been saying that since around about 60k. And so now that that's covered, and you can go find out what my reasoning for that is in previous videos, but now that that's covered, let's jump into the daily candle, the daily chart, and also the total cryptocurrency market cap chart we want to look at as well, the total one. That is going to be an interesting chart to look at. There's a major support line there that we're holding, but as for the daily chart now on Bitcoin, I mean, the dead cat bounce is quite clearly over, as expected here on this double top formation with bearish divergence. We've dropped down, we've slumped all the way back down to where we started. Essentially, we're at the neckline, or not the neckline, but we're at the base of this M formation, this W formation, sorry, this M formation, this double top formation. And so we can expect to break down even further here towards 33k, retest that zone for support. If that can't hold for a double bottom, we're going to be dropping towards 30k. We might see a small bounce, but ultimately I'm expecting a drop below 30k as well. As I said, towards the 200-week SMA. Now, it's not going to look like what I drew it as, but that's just a rough guideline of what I think is going to happen. I think that this actually could take an extensive period of time. The bottom could come as late as November. It could also come as early as April, pretty much. I mean, interest rates being risen March 15th, and so who knows what effect that will have on the global market. We could enter a recession. Who knows? You know, if it's detrimental, it's going to be detrimental for Bitcoin as well. And we can be there. We could be there within 2 months. You know, and so. You know, the situation's looking pretty grim for Bitcoin right now. I would not recommend anyone take any long positions on Bitcoin at all. I would not recommend getting into Bitcoin at all at this point in time, especially since this downwards trend has not only just begun, but it's also strengthening. And I'll look at the volume right now after I move these lines here. And why I say it's strengthening, well, first and foremost, we've recently lost a 50-day SMA, which we've gained for support back in this dead cat bounce. We've lost that. We've rejected off the Ichimoku cloud. That's a clear rejection there. Bull market support band has been rejected off as well. The volume profile's up at 47k, the POC. Bollinger Bands are showing us that, hey, we have a little bit of support here, but, you know, that's very fragile. We could just break right through that as well and go further down. Or we could just see a little bounce first and foremost before that happens up to 40k and then reject it downwards towards lower support. We have Gaussian channel, which we've rejected off as well. And ultimately, the reason why this downwards trend is strengthening is because of the volume. Now, what we can see on Bitcoin is the volume, which is down here, is actually heading upwards in this downwards trend. Now, we saw this downwards trend start on February 16th, all right? So this is the first red candle here. We saw one candle of upwards volume, then we saw the weekend where we saw slightly depreciation volume, and then we reset here on Monday. We saw a low volume candle, and the last candle, but yesterday's daily candle on Bitcoin has had very, very, very high, ascending red volume, which means that this trend is not near finishing yet. Usually when you see the end of a trend, so for example the end of this downwards trend, you would see volume descending, right, in a format like this where volume's continuously going down while the price is going down. Eventually you end up at a point of reversal. You start seeing green candles increasing and the price starts heading up again, right? We're not near that at this point. Does that mean we can't bounce here? No, but I don't really see an actual reason to bounce here. There's not any support in this region right now. What I would suggest is that, hey, you know, much like what we did yesterday, we could potentially go up to, say, 39.5k again and reject off that, but I wouldn't really see any catalyst for that. As of this point, I think Bitcoin's going to go down to 33k, or you know, first and foremost, 35k, because that's where the daily candle closes. That's like the next region of support, in my opinion, for Bitcoin, down at 35k. I don't think that's going to hold at all. I think we'll drop below that. It might take a few days of bouncing around it, though, and start faking out some bulls like we did back here, right, where I'm drawing right now. We had like a fake double bottom, and then we just dropped below. We could do something like that. I don't really see any reason on any charts that I've looked at why we'd be bottoming out at 35k. It doesn't really make sense to me at all. I think the next major support is the 30k region, and I think that's overly tested. Okay, we can't expect to hold that again. So many people I see on Twitter are just like drowning in hopium, and they're drawing things like this, like we're going to do that and just come all the way back up. Like, do you understand how many times we've tested this? 1, 2, this will be the third test of the support zone. What makes you think we're going to bounce? You know, we don't have the narrative that we had back here. You know, back in February, for example, the narrative was that the bull market's just starting, because look what happened before February. Massive gains. And then back here, in May to July, we had the 4-year cycle narrative where it's like, well, Bitcoin's going to top out in December, and it was July at this point, so this is going to be the parabolic run, right? Look how long we held this for support. There was massive bullish divergence. It was obvious we were going to bounce there in both of these occasions. Right now, it's not so obvious. Right now, we're going into a time where, you know, we have basically, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but World War III, we have, I seriously don't think that's going to happen, but that's the narrative that's being fed. And then we also have a serious problem, much more serious than, something like Russia and Ukraine, which, it's debatable as to whether that's serious, because I'm not a geopolitical expert. I don't know that much about the situation in Russia or Ukraine. I'm just waiting for results. But what I do know about is the interest rates, right? Because I'm a finance student. I know that interest rates being risen is a potentially negative thing. Not potentially, it is negative, and it could have very negative effects on the global economy, especially traditional markets, which are correlated to Bitcoin, which means Bitcoin could go down massively. So I don't think the market looks good right now in terms of TA. I don't think it looks good in terms of FA. I think that we should be waiting until March 15th to see what happens there. And yeah, I don't think 30k is going to hold. And I think once you understand, and if you agree with me that 30k is not going to hold, well, then you kind of agree with me that we're going to go down to the 200-week SMA, because the next major support below 30k is 24k to 22k. Okay, and the 200-week SMA currently is just over 20k. It's heading upwards. By the time we get there, we'll be in that region. So, it's really not too radical for me to suggest we're going to a 200-week. I've been saying this since 60k. At 60k, it might have seemed slightly radical, and a lot of people unfollowed me because I said that. But hey, it's turning out to be correct. But what I do want to show you now is this chart here, which is the total cryptocurrency market cap. So this is every single dollar that is wrapped up in any cryptocurrency, in the entire space. So we have right now $1.64 trillion in cryptocurrency invested in cryptocurrency. Relatively low amount compared to what we had in the bull market. Peak bull market, we had 3 trillion, right? So we've about halved, like half of the money that was ever in cryptocurrency back in, just 6 months ago. Not even that. What am I talking about? 3 months ago. Is gone. So half of what we had 3 months ago is gone. And right now, what I'm looking at is this trend line. Now I know TA doesn't matter too much on charts like this. Okay, TA is kind of a sidelining factor in things like total cryptocurrency market cap, but it is worth noting because they do have support resistance, just like any other chart, right? They do that. And let's just bring this up here, fix this up a little bit, because this is not exactly correct. I don't like on trading, they've added this new thing where you can't actually directly smoothly change something. It always jumps up and down. Anyway, regardless, let's make that red. What you can see is this uptrending pink line. Right now, we're testing that right now. So that would be an indicator that, hey, we could see a bounce in this region for Bitcoin and altcoins. And that's why, I don't see any support on the chart. But looking at this chart, it would be not surprising to see a bounce up to, say, 40k and then a rejection and the head further down. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to lead to anything. I think we're going to drop below that line. I think we're entering a full-blown bear market. I think we've been in a bear market since, late November, in my personal opinion. That's what I've been saying. But, I think that right now it's getting to the point where it's undeniable. Every dead cat bounce has been squashed. We had a fake double bottom, a fake inverted head shoulders pattern. We've got no real support below us right now, aside from, say, 35k and then 30k below that. And it looks like we're going to have a 200-week SMA. That's all I've got to say about Bitcoin. If something progresses on the charts, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, what we're just seeing on a daily chart, and the reason why I'm making this video is we're just seeing the downwards trend actually strengthening rather than weakening, which means more people are selling into this downwards trend than they were before in, say, late January at the same prices. And so the agreed price of Bitcoin amongst investors is trending downwards, which means that people are more willing to sell at lower prices, and they're less willing to buy at higher prices. And so it's bad. It doesn't look good for Bitcoin. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.